Welcome to Mental Health Momentum, a Silicon Slopes podcast. I'm Dr. David Morgan. I'm a licensed psychologist and the Director of Mental Health Awareness here at Silicon Slopes. And on this podcast, we talk about mental health issues in business and beyond, and we look for solutions. I'm going to introduce my guest to you today. This is Tyson Allred. Tyson, hello.
Hey, it's been fun to get to know you a little bit.
It's been really fun to get to know you as well. Let me tell our listeners a little bit about Tyson. Tyson is an entrepreneur, speaker, podcast host, and men's mental health advocate, dedicated to helping others become the strongest version of themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. As the founder of Copper Johns, a nationally recognized men's grooming brand, Tyson has built more than a business. He has created a community centered around authenticity, resilience, and personal growth. He is the co-host of the Dad Bods and Beards podcast, a platform that reaches thousands of men each week through honest conversations about fatherhood, mental health, purpose, and personal development. Through his content, live events, and growing social media presence, generating hundreds of thousands of impressions, Tyson creates safe spaces where men feel seen, supported, and encouraged to heal while still embracing strength and masculinity. Tyson is also the author of The Father's Guide to Mental Health, where he combines personal experience, education, and compassion to help men navigate identity, anxiety, and emotional well-being. His mission is simple but powerful: to challenge harmful narratives around masculinity, promote emotional resilience, and remind every man that healing and strength can exist together. I love that. Tyson, thank you and welcome.
No, thanks for having me.
And wrote a book. That's amazing. That's not easy.
No, but what's cool about the book is I know we'll get into it, but I have 13 other guys who helped me.
Oh, nice.
And each chapter dives into something specific that's always been impactful to me, like relationships and money and so I had, like Sean Finnegan's a part of it with the relationship portion of it. And so I had him help write his story, and then I break it down. And then we talk dive deep into it. And then I have a deep thought section after each chapter and just kind of hey, thought provoking to kind of help them understand where they are and how they can progress. And so it's more of a manual because I taught college for 10 years.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I wrote it.
That's amazing. What did you teach?
Sociology.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I taught social problems and ageism, the third ism behind sexism and racism.
I love that.
Yeah.
My wife got her degree in sociology as well. She said it's because it was the shortest major. That's what she...
I have 5 degrees.
but I tell her that she's smarter than I am all the time. I'm like, any personal experiences with mental health or how it's touched your life in any way?
Yeah, so I am not an expert by any means like yourself. You have degrees and all that stuff, and
I don't have 5.
But
I just have 3.
Yeah,
so, you know.
But yours are in this field. So I'm just the typical guy. That's what I really feel like we hide everything, or I did hide everything, and the stresses of taking care of your family, taking care of your wife, taking care of just the house, and making sure all ends, everything fits, and that pressure got to me at one point where I never told my wife. She knew something was up. Never told my wife, I thought about hurting myself, I'm there was one point where I'm hey, this is how I would kill myself. And then my daughter, so about 10 years ago, she was in 7th grade. And I always get emotional over this. She decided she didn't want to be here. And she tried to take her life. And luckily my wife caught, middle of the night, she had the impression she needs to go check on her daughter. And she went and checked on her. And we went to McCady up in Ogden, and they took care of her. And then we had to go to University of Utah Mental Health Institute, and she was there for a couple of weeks. And we came back, and she tried again. So all in all, it took about 6 years, and we finally went to Center for Change in Orem.
I know Center for Change.
Yeah. Dr. Hawkins is amazing. I love that lady. I talked to her. She's been on our podcast. That's where things started to change for her. And when I realized there are things in my life, because we did family group therapy with my wife and her, and I realized that there's things in my life that I need to change so that she can be better. And so I started going to therapy, and the therapist went and just asked me the very first question, and I start bawling. and I'm like, but that's not why I'm here. He's like, I'm here to, so that I can better my family, better my daughter. He's like, this is exactly why you're here, Tyson.
Exactly.
And I remember right after that question, he's like, Tyson, I just need you to look in the mirror for a minute. And I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I was like, I'm not good. Curtis, Curtis Morley.
Yeah.
So Curtis and his counterfeit emotions, I felt the shame.
Yeah.
I felt from that, I felt the despair. And it's just, but because of that moment, I knew my life was going to change for the better, because I had not only my therapist, but my wife had my back. I went and checked on my hormones because my hormones were off. They were wacky. My testosterone was crazy low. And so I just started taking care of myself, taking myself physically. And then by the time my daughter got home, I mean, it's a lifelong journey, but I parent different now. And I hear them and I listen to them and I take accountability now. And there's just certain things that I wasn't doing because I was shut off. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do as a dad. This is what I'm supposed to do as a husband. I'm supposed to be the strong one. Thinking, meaning strong, is being silent and just struggling.
Right.
And that's not how you do it.
No.
And so that's kind of how everything started.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. How's your daughter?
Well, she's on she's on a mission for the church.
No kidding.
And she's learning Spanish in California. And I just talked to her today, and she is my hero.
Yeah.
And I tell her all the time, and I just
she probably feels the same way.
yeah, she's my best friend.
Yeah. And
what's funny is when we're on our podcast, she was there listening, and she's like, "Yeah, Dad's my best friend." And that wasn't always the case. And we worked really hard for our relationship.
It's so interesting, just as you described kind of the history, all the way back when she was in the 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, of course, you're like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen to our family, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have someone in suicidal crisis and for not to resolve right away, right? For it to,
it was a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And it still is. There are times where it's just like,
well, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look back and then you go, look at all the things that happened as a result of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even your own change that she was the genesis of. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it wouldn't have been for that, the chances of you, getting in, talking to a counselor, especially with kind of the, I don't know if attitude is the right word, but just the, kind of the cultural experience you had prior to that, it was like, well, no, I'm not going to go to counseling. Dads don't go to counseling.
Yeah.
That's not what we do.
No, 100%.
And so I think, so many lives have been improved because of that. Maybe anyone who's going through something like that right now, I guess the message is there's hope, right? Just wait 10 years and see where this is at,
When I started Copper Johns, we talked to one of our religious leaders, and my wife, we were struggling financially, and because it's just me and my wife, and my wife went and talked to him with me, and he said, my wife was thinking of being a nurse, going back to school, that type of thing. And he's like, well, if you start, if not now, when, basically is the answer we got. It's like, hey, if you're going to do it, start now. That's why we started Copper Johns, is if not now. And our motto was be proud of who you are, not realizing how impactful that was going to be the rest of my life. It's really cool just how the whole turnaround and just, yeah, it's really cool.
So now you're basically advocating for others. And is that just part of that personal journey? Like your part of your mission is, as a men's mental health advocate, self-described, is saying, look, I want other men to have a similar experience, to not, maybe get stuck in this thing thinking strength is silence.
I wouldn't be here. I know for a fact I wouldn't be here. And just last year, I went through a spiral. We had Bryce Walker on. He played at Utah State. And he suffered a lot of catastrophic injuries during his career. And he was talking to me, and they were talking about a gentleman who died by suicide with the Dallas Cowboys because of finances. And when we were struggling, and that was my problem, and I spiraled. Like, I wasn't there anymore during the whole conversation. I knew how I was going to do it. I knew when I was going to do it. I knew who I was going to talk to or write letters to and send right before I did it. And Logan, who's the co-host, he noticed something, and as I was leaving, he called me and he talked me out of it. Like, didn't talk me out of it, he talked to me.
Sure.
It's so important to me because I know I'm not the only one who's going through this. If we had Zachary Levi on, he played Shazam, he played Chuck, and you have this famous movie star who decided one day that he didn't want to be here. He started shaking. He was so sure he wasn't. He hurried and checked himself into a clinic. And I'm like, so if you have someone who is successful by our terms,
right,
and he's going through something, and then everyone that I've talked to on our podcast, and probably you too, they're all going through crap.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I need to help these guys because it's just like, it's not just me, it's everyone, and it's not fun. And not a lot of people understand how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to them, because we were learned, we grew up in football, we grew up in all these sports, and it's like, you shut your mouth, you don't say anything, you just walk it off.
Yeah.
And it's not that even our parents told us that. That was just what we did.
Yeah, it was the culture.
Yeah. And so it's just that's how I feel, is like, we don't need to suffer in silence anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a friend the other day who he's in law school, and he said, someone told me my first year that there was this adage that said, don't just do your best, do what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that is the crappiest thing I ever heard in my life. I said, that's horrible. It's this idea that somehow that we just have to be these super people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that and that even our best isn't good enough on some days. You have to do more than that. You have to dig deeper and do even more. And it's kind of that, almost that macho culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we can do this. I thought, what a load of hooey.
Yeah.
Our best is always good enough, because
Mm-hmm.
that's all you have. And our best is variable. I was talking with my wife about this the other day, and hopefully our best looks kind of like the stock market over time. It's a trending upward. So our best is getting better, but on any given day, you could have a peak or a valley, right?
100%.
The overall level of the slope is increasing, but some days my best is worse than it was 10 years ago, just because it's a really terrible day,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have that much to give. And it's okay to acknowledge that and say, you know what, today is a terrible day, and I'm going to be able to give less than I was able to give yesterday, but tomorrow will probably be better. I think just acknowledging that, and you helping people understand, even through your example, I think that peer example is so critical. It's one thing for them to hear from a doctor and they're like, yeah, whatever, that's what you're taught to say. But to hear from a peer, they're like, whoa. I think there's power in that.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing, and being able to kind of share your own experience and helping other men figure out, oh yeah, it's okay for me to feel this way, and there's something I can do about it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a way out.
Well, kind of going off of what you said, like when we were talking about suffering silence, and I have learned that my wife is my rock. Like, we as men, if we hold it in, if we suffer, like we were talking about, they know. They're not
right.
Stupid. They just don't know how to help you.
Right.
And it's just, same with them. They need to tell us what's going on so we can help
Right.
them too. And there was one day where I was literally just bought tires. We're not well off. This was just a couple of weeks ago. I still have this company that's self-sustaining, but it's not paying us.
Right.
Takes all my time. You know what I mean? Have Dad Bods, it's not paying us, but it's
Yeah.
about to. So we're on the precipice of making stuff.
And tires aren't cheap.
And tires are not cheap. And so my daughter, who's 15, is learning how to drive. And she goes around a roundabout. I just bought these new tires, $800. And she hits a curb, and it's like a knife literally slit the tire. And I'm like, what the crap? I'm like, have you never I'm like, what are you doing? And it was on a Sunday, and I have to go to work at 6 a.m. in the next morning. And I'm just like, wow. And I was down. Like, it just killed me. I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from. And so I took the tire into Walmart where we bought it. They're like, you didn't buy the roadside warranty, so this is going to cost you another $200.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I have to have it. And then I'm just like, who would have thought? I just bought it a couple days ago, and I'm like, if I would have known my daughter would have ran, I would have got it. It would have saved me $40. But anyway, I looked at Candace, and they went out, and I looked at my wife. Her name's Candace, and I'm just like, I was down. I'm like, I feel like God hates us. Like, I feel like I did something wrong, and then He's just spiting us. I'm like, I don't understand. I just can't get a win. I can't. And she just looked at me, and she goes, Tyson, I believe in you.
Yeah.
I trust you, and I love you, and I know you have this family's back. And literally within minutes, which that just made me that lifted my spirits. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And next thing I know, the Walmart customer service comes in. It's like, hey, it's $30. You really just bought it. And
Wow.
And then went and did a couple other things. There's
The terrible driver discount. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it was just like, because I opened my mouth instead of suffering.
Yeah.
She lifted me up when I needed it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like we just need to just be a little bit more honest with our loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. Communication is so critical. And I think it's something that men struggle with in opening up, and then women struggle because they don't necessarily want to overstep what they think is maybe what they should be doing, even though that they could do it anyway. But it's incumbent on both parties, you
Yeah.
know. When I've done, you know, worked with couples and tried to teach about marriage things, all the time, I'm like, this idea of they should know because they've been married for so long, that's a bunch of garbage. No,
Yeah.
no, they shouldn't know. You talk, you
Mm-hmm.
say something. That is your responsibility to say what's on your mind appropriately and respectfully, and that. And if you're upset that it's not being understood, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to try to communicate in a way that you can be understood. And that just comes back to taking responsibility, each individual. And so by you, you know, kind of opening up and saying that, I think that's important. I think the other thing that's interesting, you talk about how you can't get a win, but then I bet if you reflect on your life, you can think of all sorts of
100%.
wins, right?
But it's just at
In
that
that moment, exactly.
Mhm.
You just
And
need that.
she needed what she said was what I needed at that
Yes.
moment.
Right.
And it's only because I decided to open up to her because
Oh.
I trust her.
I love that. So tell us about the Dad Bods and Beards podcast. So why'd you guys start this? What's the goal? What are you trying to do?
Literally, we don't know. Like so with Copper Johns,
Yeah.
so I do two lives a week. I have one live that's called Built with Purpose, and I have people from the podcast come talk to my guys. Meaning, I have 200,000 followers that come and they talk, and so we talked about counterfeit emotions on a men's grooming channel. With Corey or Curtis was
With
the last
Curtis,
guy. Yeah. Next week is going to be Drew. This week is going to be Drew, and we're going to talk about relationships and the importance of having men relationships in our lives. But then on Fridays I have it, and then another live that's just Q&A with me and answer any questions with grooming related. And then I have a show called Copper Lodge, and I bring all the people on like one at a time and let us root for you, let us cheer you on.
Okay.
So I'm trying to build a community of people who feel comfortable being themselves with us. Anyway, Logan jumped on. We didn't know each other,
Really?
and he's from Utah, and I thought this, and we just hit it off. And the next thing you know, we started making reels together and social media, and people are like, "You guys are hilarious. You should start a podcast." And Logan looking at each other like, "Okay." And so we started this podcast, and within minutes, it got serious. And we still have fun. There's hilarious moments.
Sure.
But overall, Logan has bipolar, and the first time he ever kind of came out and told everyone his situation was during the podcast. I didn't say a word. And I knew we were going to be big then, because that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just from then, we knew our calling. It was like immediate. We're like, this is what we need to do. Because we need to be the voice of men who don't have a voice.
Yeah.
Or don't know how to use their voice yet. And so our whole point is this, where they can be a part of the conversation, even though they're not in the room with us. They can feel it. They understand. And so we're raw. We're 100% open. And we don't hold back, and we do hold back now when it comes to our families. We learned the first couple episodes,
Right.
but we have saved lives. We have made an impact, and it means a lot because some of the what people tell us when we do retreats with men who listen, and it's really, really cool. I'm grateful for that.
In the retreats, what's the goal of that? What are you trying to accomplish?
So like we were talking about before with I Love You, Bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Ogden, and I do the facilitating there, and you come in there, men are so scared to open up.
Yeah.
They don't have that support system, or they don't feel like they have that support system. Same thing for us. When we go do these retreats, we want to give them in tough situations. Like we did a cave, and we hiked in a cave and did this whole thing, and we do things hard together so that there builds a brotherhood, so that they're more willing to share. And we had some amazing conversations. We went to Belize a couple months ago, and they're lifelong brothers now.
Yeah.
And all of them, they're all from different parts of the country. And one of the guys, he's coming on Thursday and out of Seattle, and we're all going to go to lunch together. And it's just like, yeah, and you get to see their eyes change.
Yeah.
Their countenance change, where they have hope now, and that's the whole purpose of it.
I love that it's creating connection, and I think that's so needed right now. It's social media has been a very interesting experiment, and it's almost following the way like Big Tobacco did. You know, back in the day, the doctors were like, "Huh, here's something good for what ails you. You know, smoke a Marlboro, and everything's great." And then of course we come to find out later that it was terrible for us. And social media, I don't think it's overall terrible. And there's nothing really redeeming about smoking cigarettes, but social media, we're finding out there's a lot of negatives to it as well. And we're starting to now kind of ferret that out. And I think we'll land in a great place and we'll say, it's amazing for these sorts of things. It's terrible for these sorts of things. And let's, use it judiciously. But I think one of the things that it has impacted has decreased that personal connection that people have. And so these retreats sound amazing for people to be able to get together face to face and to talk and to be vulnerable. And I love that you do something difficult as well, because I think that is, it appeals, number one, to kind of like, again, like the masculine, the macho,
we're not afraid to get dirty and have, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Let's see what I can do. But then I think that naturally opens up that potential for vulnerability. And then I think you're right, that countenance change is probably happening all the time. And they just get this connection with people, even strangers that were strangers 24 hours before, right?
Yeah. And what's really cool is you'll see them like I will every day we'll talk, and like even on my Copper John's lives, the first thing even on my grooming part, when I do it on Fridays, I'm like, win for the week. What is your win for the week? Yeah. And because like you said to me, it's like, there's probably a lot of things that I'm like, absolutely. Yes. And so even though some of them are like, I did this, and I shout them out, and I think it's so important. Like I feel like, there's so much connection that is lost now. Yeah. And so like, if you have that retreat, if you have that, you have more confidence to go out and do it again. Yeah. It sucks what's happening, but at the same time, it's like, it's cool what's happening too now.
Exactly. And we're resilient as human beings. We find ways forward.
Yeah.
We always have. And I talk with some of my children and the kids my children's age, and I just say, I'm fascinated to see what the world's going to be like in 30 years. Things that you are going to accomplish, your generation, as you kind of, as we kind of hand off to you, as the rest of us kind of, riding into the sunset, so to speak.
I think it's so weird that I hit that age where I like my son, who's 14. I'm like, how do I do this? He's like that. I'm like, oh no, I hit that age.
Exactly. I know we have 6 grandkids, and our youngest is just turned 2, and I'll put him on my lap, and he immediately goes for my watch. Yeah. Just immediately goes for that, and maybe it's because all he does is see adults all day looking at their screens, right? But even I was talking with some of my older kids, and they were like, Dad, our kids are never going to be on social media, or they're not until they're 18, and they're not going to get smartphones until they're 16 or something, just because they had their own experience, and they kind of looked at it and they said, this was the good, this was the bad, and we're going to try to refine that, which I hope happens with every generation.
100%.
I hope my kids look at me and say, these are the things I want to do because he did a great job, and these are things I'm not going to do because he did a crummy job at that as a dad, and that's totally fine. I did the same thing with my parents, right? Took the great and tried to excise some of the stuff I didn't like, and that each generation just kind of improves upon each other. So
and that's the hope, and that's the wish.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that comes through that connection you're talking about, and it comes through that willingness to be open and vulnerable,
even with your children.
Amazing. Especially with our children, right?
What's really cool is my daughter coming back from Center for Change. We never did this, and I'm like, shoot myself that we didn't do this before, but we do the highs, lows, and gratitudes now. And so no matter what, no screen time, no TV, everything's gone. Dinner's at this time. This is when we're doing it, and everyone goes around and says what they had, their high for the day, what their low for the day is, so that we talk about them, and then also the thing that they're grateful for the day. And it's really changed the way we communicate with each other.
This is like A-level parenting right here. That's good stuff.
And that's what I mean. I wish we would have done it before. You live and learn. But now my kids will take that.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Dinner time will be dinner time for them, and they will do that. It's hard to institute sometimes because you have to break out of old patterns, but you just do it.
Yeah.
You just say, this is what we're going to do. And then over time it becomes easier. And then pretty soon.
Well, now we play games now afterwards. Yeah. And I'm like, it's been 2 hours, guys. We got to stop.
I got homework to do. Yeah, exactly.
And they don't want to stop.
Oh,
it's really fun.
That's awesome. Well, Tyson, I love what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
It's amazing. So everyone tune in, Dad Bods and Beards. When you're done listening to this podcast, go listen to that podcast. And I've listened to a few of them. You guys do a great job. And there is just there's a connection there that is remarkable. So thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for coming in today and sharing your thoughts with us. And thanks everyone for listening today. Remember that change starts with you, and together we can increase our mental health momentum.